On a cold December morning in 1973, investigative journalist Thomas Crawford woke to find an anonymous envelope slipped under his door. Inside was nothing but an address, an abandoned warehouse in the heart of Manhattan. What he discovered there would expose 70 years of America's most powerful family's darkest secret. Thousands of documents revealing how the Rockefellers bought Hollywood, controlled its stars, and buried its biggest scandals. The first file Crawford touched was dated 1926, a handwritten note in John D. Rockefeller Jr. Quote, "So distinctive script read, 'Cinema is a weapon more powerful than oil. He who controls the soul of the people controls the world.'" This single sentence explained how Hollywood's golden age really began. According to the documents, the Rockefeller family had been secretly investing in Hollywood since the mid-1920s. But this wasn't normal investment. Through shell companies and hidden trusts, the family controlled 40% of Columbia Pictures, 50% of RKO, and 25% of MGM. The public owners everyone knew were merely puppets dancing on invisible strings. Before we dive deeper into these shocking revelations, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more untold stories from Hollywood's hidden archives. The most shocking document was a contract dated 1932. Clark Gable, then just a rising star with dreams in his eyes, had signed a secret agreement with Rockefeller family lawyers. According to the contract, Gable would receive $1,000 monthly, a fortune during the Depression. In exchange, every moment of his life would be controlled, from whom he would marry to which films he'd star in, from where he'd live to what he'd wear. Everything was predetermined, scripted like a movie that never stopped rolling. Gable's 1935 marriage to Carol Lombard was part of this plan. The documents showed that Lombard was deemed suitable by the Rockefeller family. The couple genuinely loved each other, Crawford noted, but the timing of their marriage and how it was presented to the public was entirely under the family's orchestration. Every kiss caught by photographers, every romantic dinner accidentally witnessed by reporters, all of it was choreographed. But the real shock was hidden in Jean Harlow's file. The platinum blonde bombshell who died mysteriously in 1937 at just 26 had a different story than the world knew. The official cause was kidney failure. The Rockefeller files told another tale entirely. Harlow had discovered who really owned Columbia Pictures. Worse, she was threatening to go public with the information. She wanted to leave MGM and start an independent production company, breaking free from the invisible chains. A note in Nelson Rockefeller's handwriting showed the gravity of the situation. The Harlow problem must be handled immediately. Called Dr. Thompson. Who was Dr. Thompson? Another document revealed he wasn't a real doctor at all, but a special operations man the family kept on retainer. 3 days before Harlow's death, Thompson received a payment of $20,000. The payment description simply read, "Medical consultation." Crawford's hands trembled as he read through the files. This wasn't just Hollywood history. These were evidence of organized crime at the highest level, and he hadn't even reached the biggest secret yet. A file from the 1950s bore the title, "The Marilyn Project." Inside was the step-by-step plan of how Norma Jean Baker was transformed into Marilyn Monroe. Her hair color, her speaking voice, her walk, her smile, even the way she held a cigarette. Everything was pre-designed by a team of experts paid by Rockefeller money. Marilyn wasn't just a star, she was a carefully crafted illusion, a weapon of mass distraction. But why? The documents explain this too. In the 1950s, America was gripped by fear of communism. The Rockefeller family needed the perfect distraction while they negotiated oil deals in the Middle East and planned coups in Latin America. Marilyn Monroe played that role flawlessly. While people gossiped about her love affairs and watched her movies, the family's global manipulations went unnoticed. Nelson Rockefeller's obsession with Marilyn took on a different dimension in these files. In a 1958 letter to his brother David, Nelson wrote, "Marilyn is getting out of control. She's gotten too close to the Kennedys. If she talks, we don't just lose Hollywood, we lose everything." Just 1 week before Marilyn's death in 1962, Nelson Rockefeller was in Los Angeles. Official records showed he attended an art gallery opening. But the secret documents revealed he stayed at a house just 2 blocks from Marilyn's home. And in that house, Dr. Thompson was also present. The same Dr. Thompson who had consulted on Jean Harlow's case 25 years earlier. Crawford continued reading, his heart pounding with each revelation. Hollywood's biggest stars weren't artists, they were assets. James Dean's rebellious youth image was a prototype created by the Rockefeller family to control the younger generation. Marlon Brando's method acting style was funded and promoted to create deeper psychological influence on audiences. Even the Beatles' arrival in America wasn't coincidence. A 1963 memorandum discussed the British invasion project. The goal was simple: suppress anti-Vietnam War protests by redirecting youth energy toward music. Create idols so powerful that politics would become secondary. And it worked perfectly. But perhaps the most disturbing file was the folder titled The Black List. Inside were names of Hollywood figures who had opposed the Rockefeller family or learned their secrets. Some names had red X marks beside them. These people had all died from accidents, suicides, or sudden illness. James Dean was on the list. A note beside his name read, "Asking too many questions. To be handled after East of Eden premiere." Dean died in that famous car crash exactly 3 days after that premiere. The police report noted the strange fact that Dean's car seemed to have been tampered with, but the investigation was suddenly closed. Natalie Wood was there too. Marriage to Wagner, insufficient for control. Becoming unpredictable. Wood drowned mysteriously in 1981, with her husband Robert Wagner giving conflicting accounts of that night. Monroe, Dean's co-star, who had started investigating his friend's death, was found stabbed in 1976. The official story was a random mugging, but nothing was stolen from his body. Crawford reached the last page of the list, and his blood ran cold. There were names of people still alive, and beside them were dates, future dates. Some just months away. The warehouse suddenly felt colder. Crawford heard footsteps outside. He quickly photographed as many documents as possible, his hands shaking as shadows moved past the dusty windows. He grabbed the most crucial files and ran, knowing he had just uncovered something that could destroy him. But there was more in those files, details that made everything even darker. A folder marked Operation Mockingbird Hollywood Division revealed how the Rockefeller family worked with the CIA to plant stories in entertainment media. Every major gossip columnist from Hedda Hopper to Luella Parsons was on their payroll. They didn't just report the news, they created it. The death of studio mogul Louis B. Mayer in 1957 wasn't from leukemia as reported. Documents showed he was about to testify before a secret congressional committee about the Rockefeller control of Hollywood. He died 3 days before his scheduled testimony. Dr. Thompson's name appeared in the expense reports again. Even more chilling was the breeding program file. The Rockefeller family hadn't just controlled current stars. They were creating future ones. Children of certain actors were groomed from birth. Their careers mapped out before they could walk. The file contained psychological profiles, genetic assessments, and detailed life plans for dozens of Hollywood children. One name stood out: Brandon DeWilde, the child star from Shane. His file contained a note: perfect prototype for next-generation control. Father eliminated 1972. DeWilde's father had died in what was reported as a hunting accident. The file showed it was anything but accidental. The documents revealed a web of control that extended beyond just movies. Television networks, record labels, even Broadway, all had Rockefeller tentacles wrapped around them. The family had created an entertainment monopoly so complete, so invisible, that the public never suspected. A folder labeled The Kennedy Problem contained explosive information about JFK and Bobby Kennedy's attempts to break the Rockefeller hold on Hollywood. The brothers had discovered the truth and were planning to expose it. The last document in the folder was dated November 21, 1963. Crawford found references to a safe house in Los Angeles, where rebellious assets were taken for reconditioning. The address matched a psychiatric facility that had treated numerous stars for exhaustion and nervous breakdowns. Frances Farmer, who had fought against studio control, spent years there. When she emerged, she was a completely different person. Quiet, compliant, broken. The most disturbing discovery was a section titled "The Music Revolution Control." The Rockefeller family hadn't just observed the 1960s counterculture, they had created it. Every major music festival, including Woodstock, was secretly funded and organized by their agents. The goal was to give young people the illusion of rebellion while actually controlling the narrative. "Let them think they're changing the world," one document noted, "while we profit from their revolution." Jim Morrison of the Doors was mentioned repeatedly. His father was Admiral George Morrison, who commanded U.S. naval forces during the Gulf of Tonkin incident that escalated the Vietnam War. But the files revealed the admiral was also connected to the Rockefellers. Jim's rebellion wasn't real, it was scripted. His death in Paris in 1971 came just weeks after he announced plans to quit music and expose the truth about everything. The file on Elvis Presley was equally shocking. The king hadn't been drafted randomly. His military service was arranged to remove him from the public eye, while the Rockefeller family restructured the music industry. When he returned, he was different. Much controlled, medicated, trapped in a golden cage in Las Vegas. His manager, Colonel Tom Parker, wasn't just a con man, he was a Rockefeller operative with a monthly salary listed in the expense reports. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison all dead at 27. The files showed this wasn't coincidence. Each had started asking questions, refusing scripts, threatening to break free. A memo dated 1969 referred to them as the Trinity problem and concluded with Thompson to coordinate simultaneous solutions. Crawford discovered that even the black civil rights movement in Hollywood had been infiltrated. Sidney Poitier's rise wasn't just talent, he had been chosen as the acceptable face of black cinema. Meanwhile, more radical black actors and musicians who refused to play by the rules found their careers destroyed or their lives cut short. Sam Cooke's death in 1964 wasn't a random shooting, he had been planning to start a black-owned film studio. The women's liberation movement in Hollywood was similarly controlled. While the public celebrated certain feminist icons, the files showed these stars were carefully selected and scripted. Those who pushed for real change, who threatened the power structure, disappeared from screens or died young. Jean Seberg, who supported the Black Panthers, was systematically destroyed through a character assassination campaign before her suspicious suicide in 1979. A section on mind control experiments revealed that MK Ultra wasn't just a CIA program, it was tested on Hollywood stars. The Rockefeller family funded research into using celebrities as influence agents. Certain stars were subjected to hypnosis, drugs, and psychological manipulation to make them more compliant and effective at swaying public opinion. The documents contained detailed psychological profiles of every major star. Each had a handler, someone close to them who reported back to the family. These could be agents, managers, spouses, or even other celebrities. The handlers were paid handsomely to keep their subjects in line. Crawford found financial records showing the staggering scope of the operation. Billions of dollars flowed through hundreds of shell companies, offshore accounts, and fake charities. The Rockefeller family had turned Hollywood into a money laundering operation that made the mafia look like amateurs. But perhaps the most terrifying section was labeled Future Planning 1975 to 2000. The Rockefeller family had mapped out the next 25 years of entertainment. New technologies, new stars, new methods of control. They predicted the rise of home video, cable television, and even early concepts of what would become the internet. For each innovation, they had a plan to maintain control. One memo discussed creating reality television to blur the line between truth and fiction, making it easier to manipulate public perception. Another outlined plans for manufactured controversies, fake scandals designed to distract from real issues. The final file Crawford examined before fleeing contained a list of journalists who had gotten too close to the truth. Beside each name was their fate: heart attack, car accident, suicide, missing. And at the bottom of the list, freshly typed, was a new name: Thomas Crawford. The footsteps outside grew louder. Crawford grabbed what he could carry and ran into the night, knowing his life would never be the same. The American public thought they knew Hollywood's golden age, but they knew nothing. The glamour, the romance, the tragedy, all of it was a carefully orchestrated performance by America's most powerful family. As Crawford disappeared into the shadows of Manhattan, he carried with him the proof of the greatest conspiracy in entertainment history. The question was, would he live long enough to reveal it, or would he become just another name on the Rockefeller blacklist, another accident that nobody would investigate? The documents he left behind in that warehouse vanished by morning. The building was demolished within a week. Officially, Thomas Crawford never existed. The New York Times had no record of employing him. But the truth has a way of surfacing. Copies of some documents survived, hidden, waiting. This story, pieced together from those fragments and whispered testimonies of those who were there, is all that remains of Crawford's discovery. The Rockefeller family's control of Hollywood didn't end in 1973. If anything, it evolved, became more sophisticated, more invisible. The stars still dance to scripts they don't know they're following. The public still consumes entertainment designed to shape their thoughts, their dreams, their desires. And somewhere, in a boardroom high above Manhattan, or in a mansion overlooking the Pacific, the descendants of the Rockefeller dynasty still pull the strings, still control the narrative, still own the dreams they sell to the world. The golden age of Hollywood never ended. It just learned to hide better, and the price of admission isn't a movie ticket. It's your mind, your soul, and your willingness to believe that what you see on screen is merely entertainment. Every movie you watch, every song you hear, every star you idolize. Ask yourself, who really wrote this script? Who chose this star? Who profits from this distraction? Because in Hollywood, the biggest illusion isn't on the screen. It's the idea that you're just being entertained. In truth, you're being programmed, controlled, and sold a version of reality that serves those who own the dream factory. The Rockefeller Hollywood files revealed the truth. The question is, can you handle it, or will you choose to forget? To return to the comfortable darkness of the theater, where the only reality is the one they project for you.